Hey team, the Jordan 3 Seoul 2.0 has released, and it's a really interesting concept because it shows Nike is not only going to dig into the vault, but they might change it up when they bring it back. You're watching Hide and Sneakz, so let's go and talk about it. That's right, the Jordan Soul is back, but it's back in a way we didn't quite expect. And Nike is showing us just because you're pulling it from the vault doesn't mean it's going to be the same when it comes out. Now typically you wouldn't expect a pair like this to retro again because first of all it's a regional exclusive pair, so it's meant to be quite restrictive. We have seen Nike do this to other pairs in the past, so I think this is going to be a thing we're going to see a little bit more frequently. In fact, I was actually looking at my feed at the time of this recording and they announced that the Jordan 5 Tokyos are coming back, so I do think any pair that we thought was completely unobtainable may just be a matter of time. But what's interesting about this pair is they've actually called it the 2.0s. First of all, part of the 2.0 treatment is they've done a bit of aging to it. It's got the yellow midsole, which I think we all can agree at this point is incredibly played out. I said that a lot about my comments on the Jordan 1 High UNC Reimagines, but they've done the same treatment here, which I don't think is a really popular take, but for some people, they still love it, so that might be the justification. It's just a trend of the time. What I do think is interesting though is they've also aged/distressed the elephant print. So some people online have talked about this as being different treatment to the elephant print, but it's actually been distressed and aged. So they've almost done reimagined treatment to this, which I think is very interesting. What's also interesting is it's not true to form in terms of the collar. The collar itself in the old model was just blue. Now they've done this sort of quilted material, and I'm told it's meant to be inspired by South Korean attire, but it is different, and it actually is different in a good way, I think, unlike the yellow midsole where it feels a little bit more premium by just adding those touches of more details. But with that in mind, let's talk about this in the context of your collection, and is it a miss, is it a maybe, or is it a must? Starting things off with, is it a miss? I don't think the shoe is a miss because I think it's done a great treatment in terms of materials, and it is a regional exclusive, so it is bringing back something from the vault that is quite interesting. So in terms of adding a white Jordan 3 to your collection, it's far more exciting than just picking a standard white pair with some accent colors, or it's a little bit more interesting than picking like an OG retro, for example, and going for white cements or the fire reds. So from a collection point of view, I think it is definitely not miss territory. In terms of being a maybe or a must, I personally don't think this is a must. I think if you're from Korea, maybe you might have a bit more attachment to this pair, or maybe it's a pair you've wanted from way back when. And while I do think the shoe is a little bit more memorable from a materials and storytelling point of view, I do think it's still a plain Jordan 3, and I think for the vast majority of us, we could probably walk away from this and not feel too hurt. So for me, I'm giving this a maybe ranking. Up next, we've got to talk about the vibe check of the shoe and see, does it capture similar vibes, and is this your way to capture the feel and look of a past release? Now obviously, starting things off, this is the Jordan 3 Soul 2.0s, and that means that effectively, if you're looking at the 1.0s, this is your next best thing. Now the 1.0s price-wise have gone up like crazy, and you'd expect that because it was a pretty limited release, being A, regional exclusive, and B, a little while since it released. So if you aren't from Korea, this is your best opportunity of getting your hands on a pair similar to the original version without paying a hefty price point. So I think it's a good vibe check there, and actually I think in some ways it's actually upgraded. I don't necessarily think the distressing of the shoe is an upgrade, but I do think that treatment towards the collar does make it feel a lot more premium. So for me, a great vibe check if you wanted to get the Jordan 3 Soul 1.0s. Taking things a further step back, and for me, I was looking at the shoe and thought, what does it remind me of from a Jordan 3 perspective? And the thing about Jordan 3s, especially if they're a main block color that's either black or white, is they tend to look like a lot of other pairs. When I look at this shoe and think of the vibe check, it is ultimately a Jordan 3 with decent materials, with a little bit of red and blue accent colors. And that got me thinking back to the iconic OG retro true blue colorway. Now, there hasn't been a true blue release in a couple of years now, so if you wanted to get your hands on a pair that had a good sort of treatment of white, red and blue, I do think this is a way of capturing that. Personally, I do think I prefer the true blues to this pair, and that might just be OG retro nostalgia, but it's a while till we possibly will get another one of those pairs. So for now, in 2025, this is your great way of capturing that color combination on a Jordan 3. Now, outside of the Jordan 3 True Blue, there is also another one that comes to mind that also has that more premium sort of look of material on top with the red and blue accent colors. Now, the pair I'm about to talk about is a little less subtle in terms of its treatment of the white, red and blue than the Soul 2.0s, but I do get a slight vibe check for the Jordan 3 international flights. And the big part of that is the materials on the outside feel a bit more premium. There's a slight cream sort of tone to that, so it kind of ties in with the aged sole look of the shoe. So I do think if you couldn't get that pair and that price is shot up for you, that this pair here, if you can get it retail, the Jordan 3 2.0 is a great way of capturing that. That said, I do think the Jordan 3 Seoul 2.0 is probably going to be subject to some pretty high prices in the resale market. So if you get it for retail, it's a great vibe check. If you can't get it for retail, probably easier to pay the resale than that other pair. Up next, it's time to talk to my better half and see the unofficial non-sneakerheads view on this tag. Let's see how many Purple Hearts Brooklyn ranks this, and is it a near miss or near misses? Warning, I don't think this is going to be high. We haven't found a Jordan 3 she likes yet, and I don't think this is going to be the pair that's going to start it off. Alright, we're back with another Jordan 3, your favourite, and this time it's the Jordan 3 Seoul 2.0s.
No, it's got the heebie-jeebies. I hate the heebie-jeebies. It gives me the ick. I'm uncomfy. I don't want to be around it. However, with the shoe, I do like the sole part of it. I like the Korean aspect of the flag and the colours. That's quite cool. But besides, like the top half, maybe with the tongue and up, it's okay. Everything below, no, high pass.
So in terms of the shoe, some of the cool features I'm about to call out is obviously you've seen the sole on one of the tongues. It's a commemorative pair based on a past Olympics that was held in Seoul, South Korea. Something else that's quite cool is if you look at the blue part of the shoe, around the collar, they've added like a quilted material look to it, which is not on the original 1.0 versions of these, but that's to make it kind of look like traditional Korean garments.
So that's quite cool. That element is neat, but visually, if you don't know anything about the background, and if you're like me who doesn't know anything besides being fed it, no, heebie-jeebies. So I'd probably, because of the story, that actually gives it a little bit higher, but it doesn't meet the halfway point. I'm gonna go for 4 Purple Hearts, and overall, that's gonna be a near miss.
Still continuing our near miss streak on Jordan 3s, is it?
Yeah.
Still on search. Let's see if there's another one that comes out this year. Thanks babe for making time for the channel, and I knew you weren't going to be too high on this pair. You didn't like the black cements and you didn't like the lucky shorts, so I didn't think this pair's got a chance. That said, let's move on to final thoughts and bring this video to a wrap. Alright team, that's game time. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know in the comment section below what you think of this pair. And actually, are there any other pairs since Nike's looking into the vault that you think they should retro that seems impossible? For me, maybe it would be the Yeezys. I don't think that's very possible, but I'd love to see them come back. Or an attainable general release version, maybe without the lights of the Air Max. That would be my absolute pick and take. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.